Now it's my pleasure to welcome our moderator for our first panel, Bad Asians, Good Trouble, Dismantling the Model Minority Myth, CAAMFest Features Programmer and founder of the Diaspora Entertainment Journal, and podcast host. Please welcome Dino-Ray Ramos.
Hello, everyone. How are y'all today? Thank you all for coming out, and I'm excited to have this spicy conversation today about being bad, in a good way. I want to welcome to the stage our panelists. First, I want to welcome the director of the A-List, which is going to play later tonight, Eugene. Come on down. Yeah. Go down. Next we have one of the people in the documentary, The A-List. We have DJ Rekha. Legendary icon.
I got $1.
And then next we have filmmaker HP Mendoza. And last but not least, we have filmmaker and actress Syra McCarthy. Oh yes. We're gonna share. So how are y'all today? So I guess like starting off, this whole the bad Asians of it all. When y'all were growing up, were you considered problem childs? Oh yeah, all of you? Eugene was a square. What were you did you cause trouble? How were you, what were you like?
I was slow. I still am. So, slow and do. We have the language for it now.
Neurospiciness.
Yes! I had lost things. Still going. Yeah, that way. In that way, sure.
In terms of...
Bad at math.
Yeah. What about in the documentary, you
And
talk...
also I was queer. So
Oh yeah.
I didn't know it either.
No, none of us did. But when, in the documentary, you talk about having these DJ parties, post 9/11. When you were doing that, did you think, I don't want to say that was a bad thing, but was that an act of activism?
Yeah, playing music in a room full of people that are not white men is activism. Yeah, it was, but also we have to remember the messaging that was coming out post 9/11. We meaning those people who are old enough to be there was, don't let the terrorists win, whatever the fuck that meant. So that meant having lived through 9/11 and now COVID, it's COVID is stay home. And post 9/11 is go out. That's the messaging. It's especially in a city like New York that thrives on nightlife economy and all that, it's don't be afraid to go out. So that was part of the larger messaging. But, again, the party in particular that I was doing, and I was doing several events, existed before 9/11. And it went through it well after.
I guess this is for the whole panel. Do you remember the first time that you heard the term model minority, or when you felt like you were treated like one? Or have you even been treated like one?
I'll leave this open for everything I'm gonna say at the end with ... so I can just pass the microphone. But I do think that I was always someone who tried to kind of defy expectations, and I didn't even know that about myself, right? I did know I was queer. I mean, I had the liberty of like growing up here in San Francisco, right? So like, growing up in the early 80s, there was a word for it. I knew that, right? And I was like, okay, but I want to, buck that. But being Filipino-American and queer, we didn't quite have the same model minority myth. There was something very different about that. It makes it so that way I can say non-problematically when someone hands me like the check to like do the tip. I'm like, no, I'm not a math Asian.
Yes, we're, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you just put math in the tip spot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. See, math. But I do think that what's interesting about what you're saying is it does make me reflect on how much I was like, oh yeah, I'll just be a bad boy about everything, right? Like not being a nurse, not going into medicine, not going into politics either, like going into the arts. Hey mom, thanks for all your sacrifices. I decided to not make any money for you.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty bad boy. But what's interesting is entering the art space is when I first encountered it. I think I found myself often being put in situations where organizations would have to say, oh man, I have to choose between pissing off this organization or HP. Well, HP's nice. You know what I mean? Yeah. And what's funny is I then talked to a bunch of other Asian artists about this, and they all shared the same plight. Has anyone else here been through that? Anyone? I mean, it's very much like, okay, the Asian person will be fine. You'll be fine, I see. Oh, Ginger's raising. See, that's what I'm talking about, right? See, like all other filmmakers have been through that. Anyone?
I'm just really intimidated to be on this stage with all of these folks.
Why? Don't sell yourself short.
No, I mean,
sell yourself tall.
No, I'm an amazing person. Like, I don't know if you know this. Like, I'm pretty incredible. No, but like, seriously, I mean, your film is so incredible. Like both of you, I remember 20 years ago, like, sort of before I actually, because I went into the arts later in my career. I remember 20 years ago, like, I was taking the train down to work in South San Francisco, and every time we go by Cola, I'd be like, yeah, HP Mendoza, I remember that. Even though I know that's not like you didn't direct, like, I just like, okay, like that connection was always there. And then like the basement bunker parties that I went to in like the 2000s when I finally did move to New York, are just, I don't know, you were just such iconic examples of just like how to be creative API folks out there doing your thing that when, yeah, I don't know why I'm here. But there was this, no, like I'll say like when I did switch into the arts, I ended up for a stretch of time working in editing, like mostly narrative films. And it was that period of time when like computer editing, digital editing was really starting to pick up. And, I'm not gonna say that being the Asian guy next to the computer probably didn't help me. Like, even though like, like my math is okay, but I'm not a computer Asian necessarily. But like, I know that like there was just a succession of jobs that I got where it was clear that my job was to just explain how to use the computers to an editor who didn't know how to use the software. And it's just like, well, I don't know, like this seems like a trend, like, and it so makes you wonder that sort of fly away that these stereotypes do, where like it's just the water that we all swim in, it's the air that we breathe. And just, when you can actually name it, like it almost feels like it's like after the fact.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I relate to that, one, Filipino, and two, as a neurospicy artist myself. I think I grew up in San Jose, and in like a very like white suburb of San Jose, so there wasn't much diversity, and I think the question I usually got was, what are you? You're not like, right? You're not really Asian or
You're something.
one or the other. You're something. And I think, I didn't actually realize it until my 30s, but I had taken that idea and used that as like armor and almost like a badge of honor. Like, yeah, I am, what am I? I am different, I am other, I am like, how do we go the opposite direction of what like everyone else is doing? And I realized that like all the choices that I make and what my instincts always go towards is like, how do we push the edge of what is normal at the moment, regardless of the subject.
going to that, you know, everyone on this panel, you know, they're creators, creatives, you know, filmmakers, etc. How do you be fearless with your art? Like, do you think about it, or are you very kind of, just, seat of my pants, do it all of a sudden? Like, are you methodical? How do you become fearless? Because I think there's a lot, especially Asian Americans, especially the stereotypes and the stigma that surrounds them, is that they don't want to shake the boat. And it's like, I think there's a lot of us that were raised, do your head down, do your work, don't shake the boat. But especially Gen Xers and millennials, we did everything we want to, go against the grain. But for me, at least, when I try to write an article holding someone accountable, or when I say something about someone, I really think about it first, and kind of like maybe too much. But that's how I navigate my fearlessness. But how do y'all navigate your fearlessness when you are doing art that may shake the status quo?
I don't believe in the status quo. I'm not the status quo, and I think in music there's always this idea of crossing over, and I'm sure it's true in different art mediums of like mainstreaming, or like, this idea of like, especially in music. I work in South Asian music, like, oh my god, like, what if it like, it's a radio, what if that's not that? And I also think that there is something around the idea of model minority that is very much associated to class, and is very constructive and divisive. I did not grow up in a white suburb. I didn't grow up around white people. And those things were very different. And I think people who, especially those who are working class, the aspirations are not always these professions. The aspirations are profession or something. Or maybe it's working in a family business, which, may not be what you want. And I think these in some ways, I think the more we talk about it, the more we validate it, and I know that we want to deconstruct some of it, but, it's the complexity of talking about Asian as an identity, and then not always taking intersectionality into it, because I think that it really makes a difference. So I didn't know that there were people that were significantly wealthier than me until I got to, in my early 20s when I started organizing and meeting organizers, because a lot of organizers don't want to hit. Some of them don't. But in terms of fearlessness, I've never seen more fearless people than people who are like, on the front lines organizing for themselves. And especially, I think of San Francisco, the rich history this place has about Black and Asian organizing that started, Asian American studies and all this stuff, which is really powerful, that, the minute, folks of color wanted to get educated, they started taking it away from us. Okay. Keep doing it. I don't know if that answered the question.
No, yeah, you answered
And
it.
fearless? I'm not fearless, I'm scared of everything. We don't know. It's like, I don't have any ability to see. I just kind of do what feels right in me for. I can't say that there's one strip plan.
I want to add that I do love, which we'll see in films tonight, I do love it. It's a joy. One thing that led my husband to blame, once he said, I just like the more people dancing than her at art, I was just like, that is beautiful. Like, yeah, because honestly, for me, to your point, I grew up here, I grew up in the Mission South Street District. And, we were Filipino, we grew up in Black Latino neighborhoods. And I didn't even know I could aspire to be a filmmaker, because filmmakers to me were Steven Spielberg. And, when you grow up with the media telling you how much a movie costs, you don't even know, not being a math Asian, I don't know if you do $20 million, right? That sounds amazing. That just sounds like what you do with, that's what engineers do when they go to Disneyland or Dubai. I then finally saw my first independent film. And I admit, it was 94. I was like, what's Clerks, right? What is this black and white movie? And all of a sudden, the aesthetic got to me. I was like, oh my God, fuck Hollywood. Like, this is... And then I kind of went backwards and I saw Chan is Missing, which, by the way, just celebrated his 45th anniversary. Fantastic film. And I said, I want to do that. It's not like I was looking at the Goonies saying, I want to do that. I was looking at fucking Chan is Missing and Clerks and saying, I want to do that. Because I felt like that was attainable. That was like the realistic thing, right? But on top of that, I was also saying, but whatever I do, I want to do it with joy. You know, Colma the Musical was, for all intents and purposes, a rated R coming out story. You know, POC coming out story, but it was still a joyful movie. Fruit Fly, to your point earlier, I think people, I think Jason Sanders, a filmmaker magazine, I don't know if he's here, but he actually, like, in his review, called it like a masterpiece like intersectionality. And I'm like, yeah, but it's also fun, right? And so I feel like queer joy is resistance. And as long as I do everything with joy, then I feel like I'm being authentic to myself. And I think with the danger in that, and this speaks to what you're talking about here, I did find myself at times, sometimes leaning into humor maybe a little too much. Someone dug up a picture of me in 1997. I had my drag persona, her name was Grace Period. And I don't know if you all know Peaches Christ. Peaches pulled up the photo and was just like, girl, you gotta bring her back. I'm like, you know what? That was 97. And you know what I was doing? I was basically doing this for all the gay white boys who would pass by. They're like, oh, you look like a man. I'm doing Mrs. Swan. In 1997, even Asians were kind of like, I guess that's funny. But I was like, but it's getting people to throw dollar bills at me. I mean, like, this is like a Kafka novel. Like, the symbolism was so, like, if you wrote this, it would be like, oh my God, what allegory. But they were, you know, they were throwing dollar bills because that's what you did to drag queens. And I wouldn't bring that back, right? I look back and I think to myself, God, I hate how many times after that there would be some, like, white queen who'd come up to me and be like, oh, I love Grace Period. You're like Mrs. Swan. Oh.
Oh my God.
And snap. And your film speaks to that too. Like, and if you see it tonight, like, there's a moment in there where it's like really like sunk to me because somebody in the A-list talks about like leaning a little too far into humor. So I think at my big age, I still struggle, but I'm better at leaning into humor, but knowing my audience and reading the room.
I'm terrible at reading a room, but like the humor part really resonates with me because I think using humor or self-deprecation or just sort of like pushing that kind of attention away glancingly, I mean, sometimes it feels like jujitsu, but sometimes it's just like fear, like, cause I'm afraid of everything too. Like there was no master plan for me either. It's like when my first career, when I lived in the Bay Area, and was, you know, yes, taking the bar past Colma, there's no like shouting out Colma. Like, I thought if you name like a local place, like people start cheering.
Local?
Like,
I shot a film about the cemeteries.
There's
Well,
a reason
yeah,
why,
I did. I shot a film about the cemeteries.
But no, it was all like, so much of it was by the seat of our pants, but I think, you know, if I could, I guess, bring it to our approach to the film, it almost feels like a combination of, you know, maybe right brain, left brain, model minority brain, plus kind of a little bit of that seat of our pants thing. Because, you know, this task is like, how do you do this task? Like, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the project, it's a short profile of 15 AAPI folks, and like, how do we approach that in a way that is capacious enough to include everyone, but not redo any of the omissions and the ways that people have felt ignored in the past. Because when we were talking to Nosheen, who's our cinematographer, she's Pakistani American, she was talking to a mentor of hers, another South Asian, about this project. The first question was, oh, are they including us in this one, or are we not Asians this time around? And I mean, that stuff for me like feels very real because I feel like, you know, I grew up not in white spaces either. I like wanted to be Mexican when I was a kid because I'm from LA. And once I started getting into more AAPI spaces, like I feel like the idea of solidarity with folks like everybody in this room just was so important to me, because it just felt like the only way that like a community could really feel full and big and rich and alive, in a way that like felt real to me. So to do that, like I think, yeah, we put on the model minority rank, got a little mathy, and so we were like, okay, East Asia gets 4, Southeast Asia gets 4, South Asia gets 4, 2 Pacific Islanders, and then 1 like wild card spot. And
Who gets the wild card?
I can't say.
Okay.
Spoiler.
Go watch. Go watch tonight.
Okay. I will say though that you know, honestly, like we started the project. I'm of Korean descent. I was like, we could have 0 Koreans and I would be fine, because I think Koreans feel very seen right now.
A little bit. Like, have you heard of this thing called K-pop Demon Hunters? It's true, but like I think, yeah.
Be seen. Who cares? Like, I mean, like, why not be seen?
No, being seen is great, but the thing that I feared is that we would be seen at the cost of like all of the rest of us, you know, because you know, like I mean, I don't think it's a surprise. Connie Chung was one of the people in the film. When she was coming up, there was this thing that she referred to as this Chinese cheerleader syndrome. Basically, on the cheerleading squad, there can only be one Chinese cheerleader. And for the longest time, you know, Connie Chung was the Chinese cheerleader, and she sort of, that was the world that she grew up in. Those were sort of that was how she'd internalize what was around her. And I just didn't want that to be in our film. And I just wanted to make sure that like anyone who's had any relationship to that label of AAPI, whatever it is, would feel seen in some way or another, even if obviously we can't cover everybody.
I do want to say that I hope that if you're all going, when you all go tonight to see Eugene's film, I do hope that people watch this and realize where we are. To your point, right? Like it is about the time that we're in right now. It is very much a 2026 film.
It's a relief to hear because those interviews are like from when we talked to you like 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, but it's edited together in a way that I think you know the climate. You do know how to read the room. And by the way, he posted an Instagram story last night. It was about this panel saying, I don't know what I'm like. I'm like the least bad Asian in this bunch. Like I don't know. I think actually giving voice to us is actually pretty badass. So thank you.
Yeah, work. Yes, voices. So I'm gonna tell a story, but I promise it's leading somewhere. So when I was working at Deadline, it was post first vaccine, and we kept on having editorial meetings on Zoom. And my beat, naturally, because I was one of 2 people of color, I was very much the diversity, and it was during that time with DEI stuff like that. And I remember one editorial meeting where Mike Fleming, who I do not like, my old boss, he congratulated 2 white men on the call for all the work they've done in diversity. And I was right there. My camera was on and everything. I'm not one of those non-camera people, and my camera was on. And then, okay, this is where I was like, oh, okay, do I say something? You know, do I say something, or do I just say, let's just let this go? And then he just kept praising them, and then right when he was about to end the call, he said, oh yeah, and Dino's here too. If you have any questions about diversity, ask Dino. So that's when I was all, nah. There's a book called How to Be an Anti-Racist, and I put the link in the conversation, and I just started reciting books. And I said, I'm not here to teach you about diversity. That's your job. And then a month later, I quit. But saying to that, have y'all ever been in similar situations where you were like, oh, there's that kind of gut feeling, or like, oh, do I risk something for the greater good, or do I just kind of let it go, all based on your identity?
Don Young called me good trouble 2 weeks ago. And I didn't know whether to take it as a compliment or not. I was on a Zoom with Don, and he said, you're what we like to call good trouble. And of course, I'm like, I hope he means that like in the John Lewis sense, right? Like, and not like, you know, the kid who spends too much money on a film sense. Because, and you know, I know I sound like I'm being flippant, but I think a lot of that was sort of like the baggage that I hold, and I do recognize this about myself, for sort of being like the loud, messy Asian in the room at all times, you know, because I don't keep my mouth shut. To your point about like, do I keep it in? I think I tried to keep my mouth shut when I had 5 agents and a manager trying to like carve me into someone that I'm not. And that was about 6 years worth of an exercise, but that was right after I had done Bitter Melon. And I don't know who was here for the CAM screening of Bitter Melon, but I did do a call out at that time. I did call out some people who I thought were pimping out my diversity. People were calling me diverse. What a weird thing to call one person, right? like it's to have like a group of people say like, oh no, but see, you're diverse. Like you actually fit, you fit the initiative. And you know, I know that what I did when I called out the organization, it seemed very explosive, and I was really glad to have the cast and crew back me up behind that, because that was actually 2 years worth of me staying silent. And what's interesting about that was after that happened, I went down a 5-year spiral of depression where I felt like it was kind of this is a pattern that I've had my whole life. I'll give you the 30-second version of what happened in 8th grade. So we had a bully in Catholic school. We had this bully, and I was like one of all the other nerds. All the other like Filipino and black nerds were like, oh, we got to do something about Chris. Chris is so mean. He throws us in lockers. We got to do something about him. And so we all were like marching out of the church with our diplomas in 8th grade. And I was like, Chris. And he looks at me with like the happiest face. And I was like, blow! And I punched him right in the face. And all my nerd friends were like, why'd you do that? And they never talked to me again. Pattern for the rest of my fucking life, right? So like Bitter Melon after that was 5 years of like this spiraling depression. You came to visit me during that. I was in Tokyo.
Yes.
I was living in Tokyo.
We went to Disney Sea.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it was this spiral that I went down, and I remember thinking like, that's it. My career is over. But you know, that 5 years of spiraling depression wasn't so much a descent as it was a sort of like dark night of the soul. You know, where I just kind of came to my senses, and I was like, it was only ever going to be this way, and I was only ever going to be who the fuck I am right now. So why don't I just stop feeling sorry for myself and just make another film?
Work. Yes.
And I made 3 more. Yeah. Go watch them.
How about everyone else? Anytime you just felt, you know, the need to hold someone accountable, but you were just...
Yeah, I mean, it's always the case of South Asian versus South Asian. I'm always correcting people. I mean, that's minor, but, you know.
No!
We didn't make those categories anyway.
Yeah.
It's situational. It is. You got to see what you're risking or, you know, not. And there is a labor in telling people that's hard to bear, you know. I also think that it's what position of power do you hold in the context of the space. You know, I don't think, you know, I think certain bodies and certain genders don't have as much power to say things. So I think it really depends on context.
I work a lot in the commercial directing space. So the craziest calls are really after we go through all of casting and I'm sitting on a Zoom call with like agency, client, and everybody talking about who we're going to cast and how diverse the cast is going to be, and we can't have the couple, you know, we can't have 2 black people, we can't have 2 Asian people, we can't have, or like breaking down, well, that person, you know, I think she's got, it was a black woman, and this, and again, being the only like minority in the room and a half minority in the room, it says a lot for what those spaces usually are. And so I remember specifically one time this woman, who was my boss, was talking about this black woman. She said, well, I think she has a little bit of the persuasion in her.
What's the persuasion?
And
sounds like a disease.
And I was like, are you referring to the Asian persuasion, Mary?
It's always Mary.
Fucking Mary.
Come on, Mary.
And I think I'm in this situation multiple times over the span. I've been commercial directing now for like, in these spaces for like 5 to 7 years now. And I remember earlier on, I didn't know how to hold myself in those spaces, especially also being a woman and a tiny one. And I just didn't know how to navigate myself when everyone's like my boss at the same time. And I think just over time and community and being in these spaces now, I think while still having to, I don't know, I don't really have much fear in fucking it up. Cause like, I don't wanna work with people that, you know, and I also wanna educate people, and how do we do it in a way that can kind of cross over. And so I think I'll usually now try to add a little bit of humor or charm and being like, I will say, as the only minority in the room, I think that we should, you know, and kind of, I don't know, make people feel comfortable in their racism.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying, guys. I don't know. We're just trying to figure it out.
I live a double life right now. So I'm in an academic environment, and wow, I get names wrong because whatever. So instead of Steve, I refer to somebody as Peter, and instead of Morris, I wrote Norris. You think my name has ever been spelled right anywhere? Anywhere? The amount of, they couldn't let it go was incredible. I was like, wow. And then, you know, I try to make a joke because my name is always spelled R-E-H-K. Don't spell it that way, please. And I go, yeah, I get it wrong. You know, it's a common mistake for you dumb idiots that don't read. That's, you know. I mean, you have to kind of like, it's kind of like a weird build trust, like it's, you know, kind of making them feel comfortable in their, yeah, exactly. I think that's that. I mean, I've said yes one too many times in a situation that I was sorry to be a part of. And, you know, you're vulnerable as a gig worker, as an artist, as someone who's like, you know, you're building a career, you're building relationships, you don't want to piss people off, you want to get the next gig, you don't want to be difficult to work. All those things are happening when you're making those choices. And you don't have a lot of time necessarily to process them. And I think in any professional environment, no matter what your profession, if you're confronted with that, it's not an easy place to be, you know.
Have any of y'all had, so when I met Syra first at Sundance,
That was a special moment.
Yeah, she was in this movie called Josephine, which is an amazing film. Yes. And I just saw it, and we were at a TAF brunch or something like that. And I saw her, and I was like, oh, and then I think Michelle Tsujihara from CAAAMFest introduced us, and she was like, oh, this is Syra, she was in Josephine, and I immediately started crying. Just because that film was like so intense. So going to that, has any of y'all's work kind of impacted, you know, what kind of impact is there a memorable person that kind of walked away with something from your work or something like that? Me crying?
Can I just say, yeah, my experience in that, I was late, and I've been late my whole life. I'm usually late places, and I went to that brunch and I was late, and the panel had already started and everyone was quiet. So I was like sneaking in, and I wanted to get to the breakfast buffet, but like I don't want to make too much noise.
Moco
Dude,
station.
yeah, that was a legit brunch.
Loco, can we have that here?
Yeah, but you know, the panel was going and they were saying some very wise words, and so I just kind of like snuck in the back. I like snuck my Loco Moco quietly. I walked over, and then I just remember Michelle pointed at me and like whispered in your ear, and you looked at me and you started tearing up, and then I started tearing up, and we just hugged in silence and then like held each other crying for like 5 minutes together while the panel was going, not saying a single word to each other, and that was very special.
And we've been best friends ever since
Yeah.
because I feel awkward around her. No, I'm just joking. No, but like, it's like I think when we, I'm gonna say this. I hate the term representation matters. Sorry, representation is not liberation. But it matters. It's just like seeing. I don't know if you know what Josephine is about. I really won't say anything about it, but it is an intense film, and how Syra acts really kind of reminded me of something from my life. So, that's kind of why I reacted the way I did. But has your work, anyone else, impacted in a way, not as like me, but even in a small way? Like, you don't need tears, but anyway, any projects that you remember impacted anyone? Or moments?
I mean, that's a weird. I mean, I feel like.
Yeah, people love my
it's like,
shit.
so, okay.
Oh yeah, all the
Stop
time.
being so self-effacing.
I mean,
And then
I think that there's. It's really hard to know. I think sometimes what impact you have on people, and even when somebody tells you, sometimes it's hard to hear it because it's just a weird thing. There is a clip of me crying as reading somebody who wrote that they used to come to the thing because they had no community and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, it was the last day of the last party. So this party I did ran for 20 years monthly in New York. I was still trying to squeeze some juice out of the berry. We do like one-offs and things like that. But that was the last party in the club. And, it's something like that. And I try to save it. I think it's sometimes just I'm like, okay, there's going to be a day I'm going to need to see this. But I don't know. That's hard to say. I think also sometimes when you're struggling to get work or whatever, and, I think there's a lot of ageism and, and then you're not like, you're sort of past your prime or something, and then you're not being recognized, or you see, this is a Gen X problem. Oh my God, you didn't do anything, and all of a sudden you have like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? Whatever, who cares? I'm an old G, like that's fine. I can't be bothered. I'm too lazy to care enough. But I think, there's this like complicated relationship of maybe some of your work has moved some people, and then in our capitalist state, are we rewarded for it in the same way? How do we measure that kind of love? Like, do we feel our worth through that? Is that enough? Or do we feel our worth through we can pay our rent? Or, do we feel safe or that? So I think that's a complicated relationship we have with our work out there in the world, audience, and like, this, how to make a living,
I think there might be like this interesting thing, I think there's a lot of us who are raised, I have trouble taking compliments or saying, I think a lot of children of immigrants really have trouble. It's like, oh, no, we're all self-effacing. We're all just kind of like, oh no, I'm not good enough. That's what we're basically saying, right? Is that we're not good enough. But, how, Rekha, you started talking about this, but like, how have you learned to accept what you're good at?
I mean, I don't think I'm good at anything. That's the thing. It's like, what does that mean? I don't know.
Or your
I don't
talent,
know.
or like.
I mean, we're all, it's like being the artist is worse. It's like you're just beating yourself up every day. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know. I can't say that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did the party for 20 years. It was generally packed, and every month I'm like, the bubble's bursting this month. Sorry, that sounds.
But that drives you, though. That drives me.
It drives you into depression.
No.
Or poverty,
Or yeah, what? Porque no los dos, right? like yes, poverty and depression. I feel like to Dino's point about like how what is the metric for success or impact, right? Like what is impact, and like at what scale, right? Because like, you know, I'm an indie filmmaker, and what's really funny is whenever I premiere a film or I do like a 10-year reunion or anniversary screening, I always feel like such a star at the Asian film festivals, or like, you know, and it's always like SF or New York where I feel like a star, and then like the movie like then goes to like a quote unquote regular film festival, and everyone kind of has the air of like, who the fuck are you, you know? And it just kind of like reminds me, I'm like, no, I'm the tallest dwarf, you know. This is, you know, this is my pond. San Francisco is my pond. But when, if I can get personal, I really did get personal just a little while ago. I apologize about that. No, I don't. There are the moments where I'm just like, oof, man, I'm gonna have to. I don't have the luxury to say no to these upcoming gigs. I'm gonna say yes to every gig right now because we got to make rent, right? And it starts to feel like, man, what am I doing wrong? You know, like I'm looking at everyone else around me, and they make so much more money. They actually own homes, and I'm like, I'm still paying. I'm in a rent-controlled apartment and still can barely make that. I must not be doing so well. And I remember last year at the library, I did a sing-along where they played a bunch of my movies for the month, and then the event ended with me doing a sing-along where I just took requests from the audience, and I literally just had like a bunch of songs ready in case like no one raised their hands or people were like, we don't know who you are, so can you play Beat It, you know? And I had like a list of songs to perform, and I was like, oh, look at all these people who are just like submitting their songs from like my previous movies, from Coleman the Musical, from Fruit Fly. And there was one song, one very specific song that I wrote that was the finale of Coleman the Musical that I thought everyone hated. You know, I thought everyone hated that song. It was called Nothing and Everything. And I remember I got it. I was like, Nothing and Everything? Who requested this? And this guy's name was Isaul Beltran. He was like, oh, I did. You know, this is the song that I proposed to my wife with. And he was there with his wife and his kids. And he was like, and we sing this song to our kids. And I was like, and I got really choked up. I was like, what, you like that song? He's like, I love that song. It's my favorite song of yours. I'm like, what? And I was like, does anyone else here in the audience like that song? And like a bunch of hands went up, and I was like, you should tell me these things. Like, I went for 20 years thinking that you guys hated that song. I steered my music away from that. I was like, I guess nobody wants 60s doo-wop, right? So I never did 60s doo-wop ever again. I didn't know people liked it. But it was one of those things where I went home and I was like, it's actually none of my business. You know, I wish I could know what everybody thinks about me, but I actually don't wish, right? Because whether I knew or not, that wasn't going to affect how much money was in my pocket. What really matters is whether I just keep on going or not.
But it might inform your art.
It might inform the art, but
I think that there's value there.
There's
Because
value.
We're trying to dance between fighting the capitalism and feeding the art, and I think it's complicated, you know?
It is complicated.
And if you like something of somebody's, tell them. You know, if you know them in any way, just tell them. It's never a bad thing to say, hey, I liked it. I mean, your book, your whatever. Whoever you have access to and whatever scale of career they're in, they all want to hear it.
We do. We want to hear it. We need the validation. No, I'll just share that when I'm never satisfied with anything ever, and like I'm always just like, don't look at that, it wasn't what it could be, or it could have been better. I could have, like, if we could just tweak all of these things. And for one example, I walked away from shooting Josephine, and like I remember there was this one scene, and I just at the end, and I walked away being like, I just don't know if that was what because it was also very personal to the director, and like I didn't know if that landed for her, and I really wanted it to land for her, and all of these things. And I walked away from shooting that, and I like couldn't get out of bed for like 2 weeks. I was just like, oh, I fucked it up. It just wasn't what it could be. And I think having an experience like that with you at Sundance that meant a lot to me, and was very also, those little things like that are reassuring of like, oh wait, I don't think I know if anything is right or good or accurate. Like, I'm not the right judge of my work and myself, and I just have to, like, if it feels pure I don't know, then that's the work and keep doing the work.
No, and I think letting go is part of that too, because, you know, I mean, nothing's going to be as good as like that first idea, that first moment where it's like, oh, it'd be great if I did this thing. And then you spend the next 5 years of your life falling short and just feeling bad about yourself every day. But yeah, that's. I know. Hey.
I'm sorry, y'all.
But if I could. Yeah, no, it's totally.
Oh, we're having a good time.
I still want to hear the podcast about your trip to Disney.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah,
No, because I think, you know, if I could share something that Rekha said to me, yeah. I mean, as you all are, you all will see in the film, Rekha, yes, just you'll see in the film. But we premiered at Doc NYC, which I was thrilled to do because so much of the team is in New York. Obviously, Rekha was in New York, so Rekha was there for that screening. And after the screening, you know, just sort of hanging out, like, whatever. I was just spiraling, just doing the thing that we all do, which is like, oh, you know, this wasn't so great, and I wish it was like this. And what you said in that moment was that self-deprecation is a form of narcissism. And I felt like the Klieg lights just went on. And I was just like, oh, like, I'm kind of doing that thing where I'm sort of trying to be cute about this and not make it about me, but it actually is about me. And I've been thinking about that a lot since then. I think a lot of what you all have been saying has really resonated because so much of, I think this work is about once it's done, you have to let it go because it's just really not yours anymore. But if one is lucky, there will be resonance and it will find a community. And I think what I appreciate so much about our film being here is that it connects with just past work that I've done too, where I've been fortunate enough, like, you know, with my first film that I did with my colleague Julie Ha, Free Chol Suli also screened at CAAMFest. It's found a space, thank you. I mean, I mentioned this, I don't want to embarrass her, but one of the protagonists from the film is here too. And, like,
Where? Is it still on movie?
It's, yes, but it's also on Canopy and whatnot.
I subscribe to movie.
No, don't. Yeah. Yes, questionable funding for movie. I know, but but I think with that film, with the Rose film about the Korean rock band, and with this film, I think the fact that we've been able to be in these spaces and community spaces and to hear this kind of response from the people that I most want to see the film, I think has just meant everything because. You know, we've been fortunate to have had some big platforms, but ultimately it's in spaces like this where it's like, if the film doesn't work here, like, we're fucked. Like, if a film called The A-List about the AAPI communities doesn't work at like an Asian American film festival, like, we messed up the assignment for the only people who really care about this film. And so I think that kind of support that you all have been talking about, that you all have been getting from community spaces is just something that, I don't know, it's the reward for being poor? Question mark? I don't know. Like, but for dealing with everything else, it's just that's been something that's really filled my cup at least. Joy. There you go. Joy.
There. So for everyone on the panel, like, were there any like bad Asians that you saw, or like AAPI? I know we're probably Gen Xers, millennials, but like. Who was like the first bad Asian you saw represented? I guess I think for example, mine was Margaret Cho. Yeah. So that kind of like, what was your? I mean, you could steal mine too, but like, was there someone like that for y'all?
Mine was probably my brother.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's 8 years older and he's also a filmmaker. And he was like, I don't need to go to college. He would stay home from school, pretend to be sick and just like watch DVDs and listen to directors' commentaries and read so many books and start making movies when he was in like middle school and high school. And
Wow.
he's like, we don't have to do the thing that's outlined for you to do in like the educational system. You don't have to go to film school. I ended up going to film school because I was trying to rebel against him.
That's the most Asian thing I've heard.
I'm going to film school to spite you.
And I'm still paying that off.
I mean, I think for me, in terms of, I guess, I think when Salman Rushdie was being attacked for writing that book, Satanic Verses, for me, it was my own kind of rebellion within, like, my community. Though I'm not Muslim, was not raised Muslim, but it was more of a challenging what is not questioned, you know, and paying for it. And I mean, for a Sarita Chaudhry, having grown up in a you know, like that type of racism that is very deep within certain communities, because I grew up in a African American, Caribbean American neighborhood. So and then, you know, I remember reading something from Hanif Qureshi. Also, don't meet your heroes. I'm just saying. Sorry. Saying that he made, you know, provocative films and writing. He's a filmmaker and writer, and actually he's been quite sick, unfortunately. But he said, when my aunties, my Pakistani aunties are mad at me, I know I've done something right. And I was like, yeah, that's what you need. You know, and I think I was also very early in my, you know, my youths in college in API spaces. Took Asians in New York City in 1992 and was very familiar with this sort of, you know, this sort of Asian American history in many ways. And learning about, you know, those people was always inspiring, you know, like Yuri, you know, who held Malcolm X's head when he was shot, and then, you know, Blues Scholars making a song about it. It's like, you know, that's a deep cut, sorry.
Well, I got it. Anyone else? Any moments?
I wonder if this is going to resonate with anyone here, because this is kind of like it's almost like an expected thing to say, but this is really true for me. I live in so many different worlds, right? And I feel like I embody each of these worlds with like 100% of myself, right? Like whether it's queer space, Asian space, Filipino space, ballroom space, right? Like it's film. But I often think that I'm always like either too gay for the Asian space, or too Asian for the gay space, or too nerdy for the Asian space, or too, you know, like not X enough for even the nerd space. Yes, I perform at nerdcore concerts, and I'm not X enough for that. So I always say to people, if you feel like you inhabit so many different worlds and you're not enough in any of them, then my music and my movies are for you. And I think the first time I felt like it was just an inkling, right? Just an inkling, was being so entrenched in the gay community here in San Francisco, and all of a sudden discovering Margaret Cho, right? And the reason I'm not going to commit completely to that is because I was like, oh my God, she speaks to my existence. That's so true, right? I'm not Korean. I'm not female. But it was enough for me because it was so resonant, and it was being played in every store. I worked in a store called Ingenious across the street from the Castro Theater, and we played it all the time, all of our CDs. And then the reason why I pull back a bit is because when I would share what I love about Margaret Cho's humor, the irreverence and certainly the transgressive nature of what she says, I find myself still having to answer to like the white gays who are kind of still making racist statements against me. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't really working out the way I thought it was going to be. And it really wasn't until Better Luck Tomorrow came out. And that's the expected part, because I feel like you're supposed to say that at an Asian film festival. But it's true that was the movie for me where I'm like, again, I didn't see myself specifically, right? Yeah. But I was like, oh, look, this isn't, I mean, like, I was feeling like a fuck up during those days. I was stoned all the time, and I wasn't getting, I wasn't doing so great, whatever that means. And then all of a sudden, this commercial comes on MTV, and I was like, who are these people? And who are these people that are acting like characters that you normally would see being embodied by white actors? And I was like, I have to find out who this Justin Lin is. So what's really interesting is like I said before, I was like really into like, Wayne Wang, and I didn't really know him because I just knew Joy Luck Club and Chan is Missing. And he's a hero that I think I'm very proud to have met. Like Wayne's a very warm presence in my life, and so is Justin. But I will say mine was Justin. It was Better Luck Tomorrow.
Better Luck. What year was Better Luck Tomorrow? Do we remember?
That was 2000 or 2001. 01. Yeah, that's how that.
Okay, I want to age myself. Is there anyone in this audience who's not familiar with that movie? Okay, good.
When you put it like that,
I was
like,
like scared that like a bunch of hands were gonna, and I was like, well,
But we can't, come on, Gen Xer, let's not do that to children.
Yeah.
Let's not, it's not their fault. It's
Okay,
our fault
Xer.
if they don't know it.
I know. Why do y'all think it is important to be bad and cause good trouble?
because everyone should.
Okay, that's it.
Because we're all bad, like really, and I think you get into trouble by trying to be good all the time, you know, and that's maybe, I don't know. Did that make sense? Okay, all right, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think really, you know, we're at a film festival. We're watching all these stories, and so much about this is to be like a dumb nerd for a second, like that idea of like narrative plenitude and like the Viet Thanh Nguyen thing about just us having enough stories so none of us feels like we have to represent all of us, where we can make mistakes, or we can just like be ourselves and be fuck ups, I will be generous to myself. We can have our fuck up moments, and we can have our moments where we're like fucking up less. And that's just important to have out there. And if we don't see that permission to do that, then what kind of pressure are we putting on ourselves? What are we internalizing? Like if you can't see it to be it, and maybe the seeing it that we need is more bad behavior.
Yeah, I think that if we don't have it, then we're not evolving in our culture and just in general. So if, I don't know, I'm a visual person, so if I look at the norm here in a circle, then we can create trouble over here, and then the edges of that circle like have to expand and grow, and like with culture in our society to then keep expanding and growing. And if we keep going bigger, then I don't know.
Yeah.
Jump around, go over there, so that, I don't know, everyone else can grow with you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If I could sound shady for a second,
Yeah.
I
Please,
guess
please.
like for a second. No, I mean seriously, like we're all up here on this panel for a reason, because this isn't like a panel of people who've been like bad all our lives, right? We've played the game. There is a game.
Yeah.
Right, and there is a game that we can play too, right? Because people do expect us to be the model minority, and I think that's a chance to just kind of like look at that as a leg up, right? We kind of have intel. We can kind of infiltrate from within, and I do feel like I'm often doing that, right? I kind of work my way in, and I'm like, it's to your point, like the spheres. This is so nerdy. Has anyone ever played the game Tron or seen the movie Tron? Like, there's this spinning circle. And
What's
there's, like,
Tron?
Yeah. And there's like the entrance that keeps spinning around, and like you can yeah yeah, the one with Daft Punk. But yeah, there's like that one entrance, and there's like a slight margin of error, but you can make it in. And if we're already in, like that's the chance to be loud and bad and like pull everybody else in with you. Not just people who look like you or act like you, but this is the chance to be intersectional and bring everybody with you.
Yes, yes. What are you going to say?
I just want to say these Waymo cars are really freaking me out. And I've read about them and heard about them, but when I've seen them in the flesh, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Has anyone ridden one on this panel? Let's talk about it.
I've ridden it, yeah. I ride them and I rehearse in them.
Oh.
Yeah, like
I'm scared.
Whenever I have to do like a big screamy performance, I've been doing a lot of punk lately, and whenever I have to do a big screamy performance, we have thin walls in our apartment complex. I'm like, I'm not going to do it here. I'll get in a Waymo.
And that's your studio for the day?
I'll just be
It's
screaming
an
in there.
expensive studio.
Do you know how cheap they are?
But also, it's recording you and AIing your songs.
Oh, no.
These are just covers.
Is there anyone like right now, or any projects, or any musicians, any artists, any actors, filmmakers that you think are quote unquote bad, or they're doing something amazing that's going against the grain that we should, look at, or that you just appreciate? Let's see how long we can stay quiet.
Like in like
Anything.
filmmakers.
Yeah, in any space.
I'm gonna do a corny thing
Okay.
and just shout out like cam
Oh.
and like visual communications.
Yes.
Because I think I don't know. I mean, I'll say that the reason why I'm having trouble thinking of anybody, it's because LA Asian was last week. We're all here, and like what I'm loving about just being in these spaces is seeing everything, seeing like the fullness of everything that's coming through. And so like sometimes I feel like, especially in art spaces, there can be like this hero worship of just like, oh, someone's a genius or whatever. And I'm like very anti that energy. Like auteur theory is bullshit. Like, I mean, it's just like
100.
Yeah, like especially in film, it's just like you need that whole family and village to like do anything. And so like, yeah, I guess part of my DNA or my immune system resists that and makes me want to just celebrate the people who make spaces for all of us to be able to like see each other's work. Because a lot of this work is not going to be visible anywhere else outside of San Francisco after this week. If it doesn't get distribution, this is just the reality of how things are. And so, like, I know I'm going to try and watch as many things as I can here and have as many conversations as I can here. And so I just so appreciate that work and the work that you do as well, Dino. Sorry, I'm doing the thing, but no, seriously, this is like
I'm accepting your compliment. Look at me, growth.
I'm right there with you. That's why when people are like, "Oh, what movie do you recommend at this at X festival?" I always say that go to the shorts programs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
I'm going to plug a short by one of my closest friends. It's called Last Resort. That's all I got to say.
Work.
It's really...
When?
I don't know.
Look in the program on the website.
It's
It'll
in
be
the
there.
program. So,
Nice.
Last Resort.
Yeah.
Sarita Khurana. I think she nails it.
Yeah. I like that you said that, actually. I think it's like these grassroots organizations, they're not looking, to be held on a pedestal. They're looking just to build community. So I'm glad that you mentioned CAM and VC and all that. Okay, we have a couple of minutes for some questions from the audience. Now make your questions succinct. No, I'm just joking. Does anyone have any questions?
So don't ask questions, just make statements, please.
Yeah.
Like
I have more of a statement than a question. None of that.
Or multi-part
So,
questions are
listen.
great.
I'm
was
going to
the
be
best
doing
panel since
Q&As
my
this
panel.
week.
And tell us about your
I'm going to be doing Q&As, so none of this. I have more of a statement. Yeah. Does anyone have questions? Don't be shy, guys. After we just dumped all our trauma on you. We're so vulnerable right now. Oh, back there. Yes. Hi.
Hey, is this Steven? Okay. What do you think is after dismantling the model minority myth, after the trauma?
What's after trauma, guys? Are we still going through trauma?
The revolution.
We live in a white supremacist country. It's not going to be dismantled anytime soon. Sorry to break it down. I mean, if we cannot acknowledge the basic things about this country, which are stolen land, slave labor, redlining, everything in this country that happens is done by compromising labor in some way. And I'm going to say it, film festivals are run on volunteers. That means there's free labor. Everything, people are expected to get paid less. So that is the premise of this country, and we're seeing it every day. It's being dismantled. It's not being, whatever gains have been had have been dismantled. People come here for labor, to fill labor gaps, and then get dismissed for it. So I don't know if there's an after. We're still in it, so I can't, I want to see that, but I don't know what that is. And that we talk about the outside and the other thing. I've had a lot of shit from my community myself, and part of that is the multiple identities. Like you can be okay, but then if you're queer, we don't like you. Or if you can be this, but if you're to that, So I think it's complicated. I'm not good with simple answers. I'm sorry.
No, but that's good though, because yeah, it's you don't you fight the good fight, assuming that there is an end to it, but you don't ever really believe that there is an after, right? It's kind of like when people were saying, post-pandemic. I'm like, when did that start? Like this is actually everything that you're talking about. All of the woes that come with the bottle minority, all of the woes that come with capitalism, everything that comes with that is part of being an American, and we work with the systems that we have. Boy, I just felt it get really dark right now. There was like, no, is that okay? I'm go ahead. Yeah, no, but you can go one of two ways, right? You can say, well, I'm only one man, right? Which would be the nihilistic approach, right? Or you can just keep on like doing the work, not knowing what the outcome is. Because the truth is, sometimes people say like, well, I don't even know what your demands are. What do people like you even want? Like your resistance is so disorganized. And I'm like, no, it's unorganized. One, there's a difference, and I might not be able to tell you exactly what came of it, but it's always something.
And I think to build on all of that, I mean, if there's been any lesson from the past few years, it's just, I feel like people talk about how, like the backsliding of the past few years in this way that is really just about revealing what's just always been there. Yep. And, like I was just reading something about how, well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like we haven't been a multiracial democracy ever. Maybe starting 1965, it tried to pretend a little bit more, but now all those protections are gone. She's getting a PhD. She's going to like totally correct me.
Pronouns, my friend.
Oh, they.
And I'm not, and if I don't finish, because I got 2 incompletes today. Does anyone know what redlining is? I mean, think about what that means. That means that you were completely denied access to buy property generations ago, post 65, that if you had it, it was taken away. That the one way to pass wealth is through property transfer. I was listening to Kimberly Crenshaw on some podcast. Her mom had inherited 2 apartments or 2 pieces of property, and they were taken away. I mean, no one's talking about it enough, I think. So it's like, not to go along this happy sentiment right now, but I think, it bothers me that these things are here and that it's not talking about. And I think that what's happening now is I think it's a reveal. It's not new. I think what you're saying, Eugene, is it's correct. And I'm old, Gen X-y, and jaded. So, more questions?
Yes, right here.
Can I speak for somebody?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's someone who's not here, and I can only paraphrase and give you the sound bites because I'm going to recommend that you follow this artist. Does anyone here know Lex, the lexicon artist? Is Lex even here? Well, she's based in New York. They're based in New York. Fellow nerdcore rapper, super nerdy, raps about the nerdiest things, Chinese American. Recently was commenting on the big topic that everyone's talking about right now, which is Jin Chao in The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Oh, yes.
Do you all know about this character? No. No, I mean, she's in the trailer. Okay. And I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it either.
I bought a ticket and as a reward, and I didn't go.
Oh no, well.
Let's go next door. Okay. Watch it.
So, yeah, we can. Yeah, right. Let's continue over there. But no, so like Jin Chao she's the only Asian character apparently, and when she walks up, she introduces herself as Jin Chao as the assistant, and she's like this like little nerdy character with the big glasses who then even kind of ironically comments on how much education she has and how much of an overachiever she is. And there's been a firestorm on social media about like, well, like what are we doing, like falling back into like model minority stereotypes. And you know, these are all really valuable conversations, but the one that I thought was really interesting was to hear from Lex, the lexicon artist, who's like, the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, I've built my career around being a nerd. You know, like, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have Jin Chao. Yes, actually, they probably should have had another Asian person on set to say, like, maybe don't call her Jin Chao. It sounds too much like a slur. But let's not run in the opposite direction, because she's pointing out, she's like, I see a lot of Asian American creators right now who are, like, running off in the other direction. Like, no, man, we dumb. You know, no, I'm lazy. And she's like, let's not do that either. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to say too much without ruining what she has to actually say. She's she, they, by the way. I'm he, they. And Lex, the lexicon artist, if you look them up, like great albums, but look them up. There's specifically is one TikTok that Lex is talking about this on.
Not to be that person, but there is another Asian in that movie.
Oh, there is.
There's a South Asian in there. So if
Lucy
we're
Liu in it?
gonna be under this identity banner,
Oh yes,
let's be.
Simone.
I don't know her name. What's her
the
name?
one from Bridgerton, homegirl from Bridgerton,
What's
right?
her name?
Simone
Ashley or something
Yeah.
like that. A very Asian name.
I think she plays like the Emily in this one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just saying.
No,
that,
thank you. No, these are the nuances that matter. You know.
But I think Conrad Rickamora is in it too. I may be making that up. I think I made that up. Yes, right there. She is.
Oh,
Is she
okay. Thank
playing
you.
herself?
And Lucy Liu is from Jackson Heights.
Word.
No, but no, see, this is great. So okay, like, real talk, I've never seen The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay, so come on, man.
You haven't.
Wait, what do you mean?
Okay.
Wait. They're like, okay, come on, man. Like, I'm the one making the statement. I'm repeating Lex's. But like,
Okay.
this is what happens though. Do
Am
you
I
remember-
in a board meeting with a dude? Like,
No, but do you remember the whole thing that happened with Issa Rae?
What's that?
Remember the whole thing that happened with Issa Rae? When Issa Rae made the statement like don't go for a Filipino guy, and like Filipinos
yeah,
went crazy, and I'll admit I was like, what's she talking about?
And
there
it was taken out of context. As
exactly.
well,
So
yeah.
context matters. So this is valuable. This is valuable.
Yeah.
Actually, everyone should tweet Lex about this.
Yeah. I think we have time for one more question. Yes, right there.
Hi. I wanted to call back to something that I think HP Mendoza brought up in the beginning, which was like the situation where, some org is like, oh, like, do we, like, tick off this other org, or do you tick off, like, good Asian person? And I wanted to ask, like, how did that end? Like, how did you, like, anyone on the panel, like, kind of like, not like take control of the situation, but like, like recognize that and like ask for things to change?
I'll close the loop on that very specific thing, and I don't want to say who this one very specific organization is, because I hold them very dear to my heart. And this is a good thing, because I actually did say to this one person, I said, listen, I really feel like you're doing what everybody else has done, which is say, I got to piss off this one, because basically I was programmed, and like everybody was excited. There was a lot of rehearsal going on, a lot of special effects, like projection mapping and all this, and like a lot of people were hired to do the one thing, and I was told to tone it down because I don't know. Just basically, it came down to, look, there's someone bigger coming. There's like a real filmmaker coming, and a real band coming like right after you, and I was like, you know how that sounds, right? You know how this sounds. And they're like, I'm going to give you 24 hours to just think about it. I'm like, okay, well, it's 24 hours later. I was like, yeah, I pull out. And I was already in print and everything. And I was like, no, I kind of need to hurt you a little bit. I'm pulling out. And it was like, it was a big year of like lots of apology letters and from the board. And I was like, no, this is always what I should have done. This is always what I should have done in the past even. So what's great about that was, it actually came to a moment where I actually had a talk with like the owner of the founder of the organization and like the president and the ED and all these people, and they apologized for it, kind of publicly. And now we're back to having a really good working relationship. But I did have to say that.
Anyone else?
I'm gonna plug another movie.
Yes, plug away.
I EP'd my first all the years of giving people help, this is the first time someone said, "Do you want to executive produce something?" Thank you. That literally has changed my life because it's given me the option and the realization that that is something I can do.
Yes.
And it was, I never thought about it, and now I'm EPing another movie. So I'm going to tell you about two movies. One movie in this festival is called The Gas Station Attendant.
Yes.
It's a 7-week film by Carla Murthy. I'm the EP with Geeta Ganbir, who's the EP of every South Asian movie. That's a rule. We have to have her. I'm just kidding. I love you, Geeta, if you ever see this. And the movie I'm EPing now is called, is a pre-production. It's called The Long Jazeera by filmmaker Salim Gondal. Do I know his name? He also works, his day job is as my consigliere. And if you get it, what that means, yeah. So that, we just did a Seed and Spark campaign for that movie went past our initial goal and hoping to shoot in the fall. And just, that's it.
Yeah.
Those are my two plugs.
Any other plugs? The A-list.
Yeah, watch the A-list.
Or you could just go watch Devil Wears Prada 2 tonight and come to the party. Yeah, it's like, it's basically like the Joy Luck Club 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has the persuasion, as we say.
4 Asians in a major movie, that's big. And we're not even looking at the credits. You know they're in the credits.
Any other plugs? You two?
Frisco, we shoot in the fall. I'm teaming up with Camposanto, Sean San Jose, and Camposanto was the workshop that actually workshopped Dennis Johnson's Train Dreams.
Oh, nice.
And so, and Sean San Jose was in Sing Sing, so it was just this weird, perfect storm where they were like, we have September, our actors, could you write something for us? I did. It's called Frisco. Stoner comedy, that's an anti-ice movie as well.
Anti-heist.
I have a short film that I directed that's in the film festival circuit right now, but we somehow missed the deadline for cams. Oh, maybe.
Well, you can tell us about
Anyways, it's called
what we could have watched.
Well, it's called Betty St. Clair, and I directed it. My writer and collaborator, Kyle Casey Chu. We had a short film here last year that we also did together called After What Happened at the Library. But Betty St. Clair is about an all-Asian American drag troupe. It was based off of the Rice Rockettes, which is, SF's all-Asian American drag troupe. And they perform at an old folks community center, and one of the hosts realizes their grandfather's in the audience, and then chaos pursues.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so it'll be around
Somewhere.
in festivals somewhere over the next year. And then Josephine comes out in the fall.
Yes,
in
y'all.
theaters.
See Josephine when it comes out. Yeah.
No. I think it'll be at TIFF, and then it'll do a release in the fall.
Yeah. Well, let's give one more round of applause for our panelists. Thank y'all for coming out, and enjoy the rest of the festival.